Good morning. We are the New York Giants Preservation Society. In my last video, people asked me how our group was formed, and I explained it, going from basically the start of people reaching out to my father and then me going full circle and forming the New York Giants Preservation Society. But others have asked how I became a Giant fan. Well, the beginning of the story again goes back to my father. My father was a huge New York Giant fan who became a San Francisco Giant fan. But growing up, my father would just say the names of some famous New York Giants with their nicknames. It was Bobby the Flying Scott Thompson, Alvin Blackie Dark, Monty the Orange Cutie Irvin, Chubbs Feeney for Chubb Feeney, Horace Stonham's nephew. And he would also imitate Melot, lifting his front leg up whenever he batted and showing the legendary Hoyt Wilhelm knuckleball grip. And he would sing, "We're calling all fans, all you Giant ball fans," the Giants march that Horace Stoneham had written. And if we were ever driving a car near the Bronx by Yankee Stadium, the old PGs. So my father just loved the Giants, and his favorite, of course, was Willie Mays. He never called him to say, "Hey, kid." He just called him Willie. So I was an impressionable boy, and my hero was my father, and I wanted to be just like dad. So I became a San Francisco Giant fan because of my father. My father took us to our first game um, in 1969 during the year of the Miracle Mets. It was a 14 inning thriller, 0-0. Juan Marichal of the Giants was pitching, and he was still in the game in the 14th inning. And in the bottom of the 14th inning, I had to use the facilities, and my father would do anything for me. Except for that night, when I asked him to take me to the bathroom, he said, "No, your brother will take you." So my brother Jeff, is not with us anymore, unfortunately, took me to the bathroom. And then we heard this tremendous roar in cavernous Shea Stadium. He grabbed my hand and brought me, up the aisle. And at that moment, we saw number 20, Tommy Agee, rounding the bases. And the Mets had won 1-0. And my brother never let me forget that moment, if you know what I mean. So from that night on, I became a San Francisco Giant fan, all because I idolized my father and I wanted to be like him. And then he took us to Willie May. He would take us to some occasional games at Shea Stadium, but only against the Giants. And when Willie Mays was traded to the Mets in 1973, he brought us to Mays' first game as a Met, and Willie hit a home run to beat the Giants. It's a rain-soaked day. They didn't know if the game would be played. And Mays hit a home run off Don Carruthers, and the Mets won 5-4. Incredible game. And it was the only time in my 57 years following the Giants that it was okay for them to lose because they lost to the franchise icon. So as the years went by, my dad and I, this was our link. We were together because of the Giants, and we talked Giants baseball all the time. And he'd see me get forlorn after a loss, which, the Giants weren't very successful when I was really learning the game. When I first started, they were always coming in second place, and they had some good teams, but then it was a barren wasteland. But whenever I'd get really upset after a Giant loss, he would say to me, "What are you worried about? Do they worry about you?" And I know he said that, but I didn't believe it for some reason. Um, Went to college, spoke to him on the phone about the Giants. He told me that they experimented. I believe it was 1980. Johnny LeMaster batting leadoff, and he looks totally different. But, he was the same. He couldn't hit. Then they started getting good, and my father and I were reveling in it. Will Clark, Robbie Thompson, and then, the whole thing with Barry Bonds. And my father would go to some games, and one time I remember he was his leg, he was limping, not walking well. And I went to work, and the Giants were playing the Mets in a doubleheader. And, hey, Dad, what'd you do today? He goes, I went to the Met game. Like, you went to the Met Giant game? Well, the doubleheader? He goes, yeah. And he just looked at me and said they needed me. And the Giants did win both ends of the doubleheader. So maybe they did. We got into the 90s, and like I said, the team was good with Barry Bonds and Matt Williams, but never good enough to win. And then the World Series came against the Angels, and we were on the phone, and Game 7, and we knew it was over. Livan Hernandez was just not going to cut it that Game 7, and of course, they lost. My dad had developed cancer, colon cancer, and he had gone through tremendous amounts of radiation, and he would come over to my house. He was no longer interested in me. I had three young girls at the time, twins who were 5, and my eldest was 8. He didn't want to see me. He just wanted to see his girls. And my girls loved him, and he would come in with his gloves on, and they would say, Papa, can you go get pretzels? And the man would turn around, sick as a dog, go to the mall, which was, kind of across the street, buy the pretzels and come back. And my girls have never forgotten him for his act of kindness. He was the greatest Giant there ever was. You could talk about Mays and McCovey and Mellott and Carl Hubble, but my dad was top notch. So anyway, he was dying, and Felipe Alou had taken over, and the Giants got off to just a tremendous start. And I'd go see him in the hospital. First thing, how'd the Giants do? That's how he was. He succumbed to his illness in 2003. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't think of my father. He's the reason why I do the things I do with this organization and with the Giants. And I should have said this in the last video I made. I wrote this book, if you want to call it a plug, whatever, but everything about the start of the New York Giants Preservation Society and my relationship with my father is in this book. It's not a research book or anything. It's just my memoir about growing up and how family affected my following the Giants and how technology affected as well. But the sole reason I became a Giant fan and not a Yankee fan, remember, I'm 3,000 miles away, is because of my father, Louis Mintz, just an incredible man. And again, missed to this day. So that's my story for today. Again, some people wanted to know how I became the nutty San Francisco Giant fan I am. And remember, they had moved by the time I was born. So I just wanted to be like my father. And the way to do that was becoming a San Francisco Giant fan. Have a great day, everybody, and be well. And as always, go Giants.